But first, the hot topic of the hour. It is now day 3 of a partial government shutdown. House Republicans are facing an uphill battle to end this shutdown as Democrats are pushing for sweeping changes to immigration enforcement. And they say before committing to any bipartisan vote. The Senate passed a funding plan Friday for much of government until the end of September. They also passed a 2-week extension on DHS money, only 2 weeks. But the House was out of session, triggering the funding lapse and the partial shutdown. House Speaker Mike Johnson has a slim majority of just 218 Republicans. But he says he remains optimistic that they do have the votes to push the bill through by tomorrow night. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told Johnson reportedly Democrats are all likely to vote against this package, foiling all the Republicans' plans to fast-track the legislation by this evening. Cheryl Bryland with me this morning. Your reaction, Cheryl.
Well, you know, Maria, what's going to be interesting is you've got still voices like Senator Rick Scott of Florida, Senator Mike Lee, that were very upset about that 2-week extension, basically, you know, taking out the DHS funding and what was passed in the Senate. Their point to their House GOP colleagues over the weekend was that you've got to not only do you need to retool the SAVE Act, they want to retool that part, but they also say you've got to put the entire funding, full funding for DHS back in. That might be a tougher road to hoe for some Republicans. The other issue is going to be, what I mentioned in the last hour, is if you are going to have some on the House side, they're going to have some of their own demands to get to a yes vote with that slim majority that House Speaker Mike Johnson has right now. You know, Chad Pergram from Fox News, he's reporting, look, it's basically a one-vote situation right now for Speaker Johnson. That is a very difficult issue. On the other side, look, nobody wants to see this partial government shutdown continue on because of all the other agencies that are funded that are crucial, including the Pentagon, as we're in the middle of these global issues we're having right now, whether it's the issue we're seeing with Iran or what you've discussed with China.
And I feel like we've seen this so many times in terms of ensuring that the Democrats ensure that they could put the most pressure on Republicans to get their way. I mean, Bryland, let's face it, they funded government only until September, right before the midterm elections. You are the voice of Gen Z for us this morning. Do you think young people understand all of this in terms of the pressure and the slim majority that the Republicans have to actually pass through legislation, get legislation through?
Absolutely. It's crystal clear to us, Maria. I mean, it's really simple. The truth that nobody wants to admit is that the Democrats care more about defending illegals, their voting base, than they do protecting American citizens. The actual facts to support that, I'm a college freshman. There are college students on campuses all across this country who still do not have power, who are sitting freezing in their dorms today. Do the Democrats care about getting them aid or relief? No. They care about shutting down the government to score partisan political points. What does the left do when they get frustrated? They dye their hair blue, they get a nose ring, they go out on the campus and protest. They protested ICE. They protested defund the police. They protested Gaza. They protested No Kings. All the Democrat Party does is cause drama. The American people want stability, Maria. That's why we're voting red again in November.
You are so articulate on this. You are a college freshman, you just said, and you think that these issues are being talked about on college campuses as well?
I was sitting in a dorm yesterday. I had a dining hall conversation with students just last week about this. Everywhere I go on campus, this is the #1 topic of conversation because we're frustrated. We want our government to work for us, not against us. Right now, they're working for illegals instead of Americans. It's pretty frustrating.
Sure. Well, a federal judge declining to halt the administration's immigration crackdown in Minnesota, saying that she did not have the authority to do so. The Saturday ruling in response to the Minnesota leadership suing the federal government, alleging that the administration is using operations to, quote, coerce changes in state policies and punish Democrat officials. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, in Portland, Democrat Mayor Keith Wilson is demanding ICE agents resign and leave the city after federal agents used tear gas on a protest outside a federal immigration facility Saturday. Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt talked about this with me yesterday and said the resisting ICE has got to stop. Watch this. Do you expect we're going to see new restrictions or changes with regard to Border Patrol and the Department of Homeland Security? What's your expectation?
We're not going to do anything that inhibits law enforcement's ability to execute the laws that Congress has voted on and the deportations the American people voted on in November of 2024. President Trump ran on this issue. This didn't begin in Minneapolis last weekend or even when President Trump took office last January. This began in January of 2021 when Joe Biden took office, dismantled the border controls that we had before, and let in 15 to 20 million people here illegally, including tens of thousands of murderers, hundreds of thousands of other criminals. And so to my Democrat colleagues who've made this now a central focus of the next 2 weeks, thank you. Thank you very much, because we're going to have this debate now. This is a home game for us. We need to be aggressive. If they're going to put forward these ridiculous proposals that put immigration enforcement and the individuals who have families in harm's way, we're going to propose and move forward on ending sanctuary cities, increasing the penalties for illegal entry and reentry, making sure we dismantle this NGO network that exists that's creating all these confrontations and protecting law enforcement. We should not back down at all, Maria. We need to press forward, and the deportations will continue.
Well, Cheryl, it's hard to argue with what the senator said. I mean, after all, we've watched it, you know, this wide open border and the impact, murders at the hands of illegals.
Yeah, and following the law, federal law, which is what we were seeing happening across the country. His point, though, about ending sanctuary cities, that is key. That reverts back to the judge's decision that you mentioned earlier. They said the court can readily imagine scenarios where federal executives must legitimately vary use of law enforcement resources from one state to the next. There's not a precedent for a court to micromanage the decision. You could do a law change, and that's what he's talking about right there. That is a possibility, to where you have blanket federal law that covers all 50 states. I think that's very important, Maria. And that's where this is going to go. By the way, those Fox News polls from last week, President Trump hitting the trail all year long. He definitely still has a lot of strong support when it comes to immigration and border security. Take that message out to the public.
Yeah, so you think that that's working?
Yeah, I think it still is. Yeah.
All right.